Hello there, it's Tyfondio, and today I want to be talking to you about impossible shapes. By which I mean, if you take a circle, how exactly do you fill it up perfectly with more circles? But look at this, when you take a square, you can perfectly fill up a square with more squares. Or a triangle, you can fill up with more triangles. Perfectly. But for a circle, it has no edges. So it affects both the outside and the inside. Because see, if you take the square, you can add another square to it. And for this triangle, easily, you can add another triangle to it. So when you take a circle, though, you can't add another circle to it. Maybe like a blob shape, like a half circle, but that doesn't exactly count. And it sticks for the same inside. If you add multiple circles, sure, you can fill it in with circles, but not perfectly. There's always like little triangles and spaces between all of those circles. And so that's what I mean by impossible shapes. Now, that's not the main point of this video, though. It's actually talking about combinations. As in, how can you fit an infinite amount of combinations within something, and what would it fit in? And so I've been going through the shapes, and I'd like to take you through them with me to see where I'm at right now and why I'm talking about impossible shapes. Now, really, it's not exactly an impossible shape. Impossible is just a word I'm using to describe it. But really, filling in a circle isn't impossible. You just fill it in with the same shape that it already is. So when you take a circle, you easily just put the same sized circle within it. Or maybe even smaller circles. Right? So, what does shapes and combinations have to do with each other? Like I just said, I'm trying to figure out how to fit in combinations in a shape that respectfully lets an infinite amount of them kind of expand and be present. So like, if you take a square, let's put the thing we're trying to find the combination of right here, and that will be A. So how many, oh, well, let's put an X right here. X standing for a second thing to put in there for the combination. So we'll do AA up here, and we'll do AB here, and we'll do AC and AD, and it's stopped. That's not enough room for enough combinations, no matter how far you stretch it. You can keep stretching that square out. And yes, you might be able to fit an infinite amount, but it's not an equally infinite amount, if that makes sense. Let me redraw the same square, and maybe we can use the corners, right? AC, AD, AE, AF, AG, and AH. But even then, it doesn't exactly work at all, because still it's not an equal amount. Here, let me show you. So if you take a square and you keep expanding it infinitely, yeah, you could fit an infinite amount of combinations, but it's not an equally infinite amount, because that square will go only in certain directions, if that makes sense, with how far it grows. So since there's edges, that kind of prevents it from being an equal version of infinity. And that kind of applies for anything that has an edge except for, a circle. So if you go to a triangle, we have A in the middle. So you got AA, AB, AC, AD, AE, and AF. Those are all combinations. But again, it doesn't fit because of, first off, those edges, and also there's not enough. And sure, you can expand it infinitely, but it still has edges, so it's not an equal version of infinity. It's not equal in every single direction. So what about a star? Which is actually something I got closest to when looking for the perfect thing. And a star can have an infinite amount of points. I mean, not this star, but I mean, I'm not exactly what the shape's called, but you can keep adding points and stuff. So you have A, you have AA, AB, AC, AD, AE, AF, AG, AH, AI, and AJ. And you can just keep adding points until you get through the whole alphabet. And that's actually really close. But you gotta think, if you keep adding points, eventually it turns into this shape. Right? Which isn't bad. A circle's actually as close as you will ever get for a perfect and equally distributed infinity. And a star doesn't exactly fit in a circle, but a star itself eventually can turn into a circle. Or it can just be so detailed that it looks like a circle, but just has a bunch of points when you zoom in. But it still has points, so it's not an equal distribution of infinity. But a circle, however, is, because it's perfect. And in any direction, it is perfect as the other direction. There's always an opposite direction that is perfect. With a square, you don't really get that sort of thing. Because, you know, yeah, you can go up and you can go down, but when you go vertical, it's not exactly the same as when you go forward, right, down, or left. It's not the same as a circle. That applies for a star. That applies for a triangle. It's not the same in every direction except for a circle. So that is why a circle, exactly, for me, is the best for this whole process. Let me try to redraw that. I'm not the best at circles, as you can tell. There we go. We can deal with that one. And sorry if I'm sniffling. I have allergies. Okay. So you take a circle and you can just literally infinitely distribute as much as you want. So you have A here. So you can go AA. And we'll go AB, AC, AD, AE. Sorry if I'm going over this a lot. AF, AG, AH, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, and you can just keep going. It just can expand infinitely, which I find absolutely fascinating because that's exactly what I'm looking for. Now usually when I research my stuff, I do my research after I've came up with something, because usually I have a lot of free time to think, and I use that free time to try to put pieces and things together. Usually the stuff that you see me making videos about, I haven't really looked online yet. I usually wait till after. And when I do after, I either restart everything I've thought about, or I've took some of those things and use that as an inspiration to fill in some gaps that I might be having issues with. So, yeah. And so, the shape distribution. I'm not sure why I had this a part of it, but I wanted to see how many letters I could fit in it. Because let's say this circle is infinity, because, you know, I've proved that infinity is a shape of a circle. I'll probably make that in the next video. But let's say this circle right here, this big circle is equal to infinity, all of infinity, like the boundaries, and the boundaries are infinitely growing. But let's say this is a combination. And so, yeah, it's not a sphere. I like to use 2D shapes first before I go on to 3D shapes, because it helps simplify it, so I can get a better idea for the foundation I'm going for. So let's say we have A, and so we can just surround this infinitely with, or not infinitely, but temporarily with the combination. So we have A, B, I forgot to put A, C, A, D, but it goes all the way around until it's the end of both of those, right? And you get all the way to AZ. But then you have, like, more combinations, like A1, A2, or a diamond, which is a shape, but still is a combination. A combination can be literally anything, just a mix of everything. And so, let's say you have B over here, and you need both of the variables, or the letters, combinations, for B. So you go over here, and you have BA, BB, BC, BD, if that makes any sense. And so I'll go back over this again, but what I'm trying to get at is that you keep adding all those combinations, and still it's not equally infinite. On the outside it is, but on the inside it's not, because all those circles have little tiny triangle shaped gaps within them, and they don't all fit and squeeze. And so you can just say, okay, what if instead of trying to squeeze them together, what if they acted like, I don't know, like different types of ingredients in food? And so you take water and oil, and you can see the separation between them, but you let them turn into their own shape, right? So then they just all start filling in the circle. And so the end result you get from doing that would probably be something like this, right? If it was like water and oil and everything separated. That's the result you would get. But see, they would all be liquid, and the shape they would make would literally be the entirety of a circle, because they would fill in that circle perfectly, and there's no gaps left. But there's no other circles left. So that is what I'm thinking combination is. And so what I mean by impossible shapes, how I started the video, is, so let's go within that circle, right? I'll put a circle here and put 6 around it. And so these are squeezed up against the outside and the one in the middle. And so the impossible shape here would be this. So if you add a circle here, add a circle here, and add a circle here, even if you keep adding circles, the impossible shape would be those not the triangles. It would be the thing trying to portray what the overall shape is. Because you trying to fill in that circle would result using other circles and having these triangles left over. But there's still a thought in your head of you trying to fill in that circle perfectly using those circles. And so your mind just goes through this impossible, unimaginable shape that you just can't draw on paper, which is where I got the name Impossible Shapes for, even though, you know, it has nothing to do with impossible. It just kind of tricks my mind, like it's a sort of a thought illusion, and not one that you can just draw or show, which, you know, left me with the end result of the shape being the overall circle itself. So yes, you can have a triangle, fill it with other triangles. You can have a square, fill it with other squares. But a circle, you just fill with itself. Very simple. And so it fits every possible infinite amount of combinations, and it is the best thing for the Trinity of infinity. I know my videos are actually pretty confusing. In the future, hopefully I'll get a camera and something to prop my phone up with better, maybe like an overhead view or something. Maybe even do it on computer and start drawing things out. I'm not so sure, but right now everything's a bit hectic and confusing, especially with the way I try to explain things, but I'm going to fix it eventually. And hopefully I'll be able to go back over some of the things I've been trying to explain and make it more clear, because I know I rewatch the videos I post to make sure there's no errors. Although there's tons of errors, and I noticed that. But hopefully everything will be cleared up eventually. I'm just happy to be finally having the time to make these videos. And so, I guess that's all I have to say for this video. This has been fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.